Mission Pro Wrestling, the symbol of excellence in women's sports entertainment.
This evening, we celebrate the life and influence of one of wrestling's brightest stars. We look to continue the legacy of Tre'D by embracing his philosophy and kindness throughout the wrestling community.
Like I always say, if I love wrestling, if you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. That's 2 Street.
Hello, Mission Pro family. Welcome to a special evening of Mission Pro Spotlight dedicated to one of the most beautiful souls in the wrestling community, Tre'D. Because if I love wrestling, you love wrestling, we love wrestling. And we wanted to make sure we have an opportunity to really just kind of reflect on Trey, his influence in the wrestling community among so many podcasts out there, and also to continue his philosophy about just this. It keeps it simple, as the man said, we love wrestling. With me, of course, is Angel Marie, the most dangerous woman with a kendo stick flag. Also, Dora, Dora in the house. Thank you so much. And with us is the matriarch of We Love Wrestling herself, as well as the Down for the Count podcast as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nicole has joined us as well. Hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's we're obviously we're going to reminisce, so there may be a few feels happening, but we're also going to laugh and have some good times too. And really excited, and Nicole, thank you for joining us and being part of this.
No, like I said, like a little bit off camera, thank you so much for thinking about this and like putting this together. This is truly, honestly, this is like a great idea. Not only that, it's just a great way to bring the community together and keep us all connected with, and also honoring his memory, and not only that, just legacy, not only for him but for his son as well as and this is just great. We're just a great opportunity to inject some more positivity in the community.
Absolutely, desperately needed. And Nicole, if you could just kind of start us off, because there's so many people that have been influenced and touched by Trey. How did he kind of get going with We Love Wrestling, and what are some conversations, and how did that kind of evolve, and just from your perspective, watching Trey become the influencer that he was?
So I originally met, and I use the term met loosely, Trey during like off of Facebook. I wasn't sure if it was from, I'm pretty sure it was something on, I think it was I can't think it. Why am I blanking on the group name? Jamil, I'm so sorry. I'm blanking on the group name right now, but it wasn't Jobber Tears, but it was like another Facebook group that we were all in, and so I think we just like started talking, and I forgot how it like started talking, and then again, and this is again during COVID, so everyone had a lot of free time on their hands, so we originally started connecting because obviously during COVID, there was like a huge, obviously if you're like deep in the hip hop community, you're familiar, like Swiss Beats and other artists would do verses. So someone had the idea, I wasn't sure if it was Trey or someone else in the group, were like, oh, True Hardcore Wrestling. That was the name of the group. I'm so sorry to everyone that's in it that I know still, but I completely blanked. but we just got involved in like verses, and I was like, I'll do that. I was like, I don't know, because again, I had nothing else better to do. I was like, sure, I'll do it. So we would go, so Trey would like go live, and this is before we really started getting a lot of copyright strikes, because we're playing songs, and
Right?
we would do
Know about that?
literally a wrestling version of verses. And then we just started like talking, and I was like, yeah, I have a podcast, which I do with my friends Alexis and Tiffany, and then we also have Janae who pops in here or there. And then and then he was like, oh, he's like, that's amazing. He's like, that's great. You have like a all women um wrestling podcast, and also predominantly black women as well. So he just always, he thought it's cool. So he was our first, if not one of our first, like really big supporters outside of like our friends that was do that. So we just got connected with that, and he had We Love Wrestling as a Facebook group, and he did like a little bit with it. And then us and a few other people that we got connected with via Facebook decided that we wanted to do a relaunch of it and make it more seriously, take the brand a lot more seriously. So that's when we were like, okay, so we need to design like a logo. Trey connected with his friends, got logo, we got color scheme, and then we got a website going, started doing articles, and then we did like like a huge launch for it. And then slowly but surely, we had our people started stepping down, stepping away, XYZ, and then it eventually was just down to me and Trey. So, and not only were we just doing that with the website, obviously what he is famous for was his spotlight. So
Mhm.
again, doing like a spotlight, and I'm pretty sure the first spotlight I did with Trey was with Roxanne Perez. So
Roxy.
yeah, so and she was Roxy at the time, because I remember I was so intrigued because she was telling us about, again, like how she was still in high school when we talked to her, and she was telling us about how she was literally taking the bus for hours. And I'm like, that's crazy that you're literally like, you're this little tiny girl, you're riding this bus back and forth by yourself all these hours. And
Hmm.
then she like, and it's just crazy to see how far she's come. So it just kind of started from there, and it just became like a movement, because again, we always like to say like wrestling is for everyone. So the I love wrestling, you love wrestling, we all love wrestling. And then not only that, we also had our question, which he mostly did it to piss me off, but then it became like a normal thing. And then always at the end of a spotlight or anything, he would always ask Stone Cold or The Rock, because he was The Rock. He's the Rock dude. I love Stone Cold. That's my
Oh,
goat.
same,
Yeah,
same. Stone Cold.
so that's where that came from, because we used to argue about that constantly, because again, I love Stone Cold, but and not only that, he just became like literally like a brother to me, and we've just had so much memories and did so much. And he was very encouraging, not only for me personally, not only, and also like encouraging like our podcast, and like even like I'm going to school right now for something that can be applied to wrestling currently. And not only that, and he was also encouraging me, because I actually like I had a very very brief stint with going to wrestling school, but I do have like my ref license. And he was always like, you need to go ref these shows and blah blah, and like trying to get me to go, to encourage me to like go out to more shows, because I had like a very, very bad and traumatic experience quite a few years ago. So I was very iffy about going to shows for a very number of years, for many number of years. And so he encouraged me to really get out there, especially with like how the community is now, and then being like, hey, like there's a lot of really good people out there. A lot of these places are really good, safe places. So
Hmm.
it really encouraged me to like get out of my shell more, and I'm still working on that and like really connecting with people. But he was just really great at just literally just connecting with people, and just being able to have a conversation out of nowhere and just be super encouraging. And that's like one of the main things that I miss about him, and I try to carry within myself, not only like just day to day, but professionally, and even within a space that I try, even though I might not be as like present as I wish I was with all the things going on, but I at least try to make sure that I am that I help create a better space and a better place for anyone in there and make it safe for little Black girls, for the queer people in the community, for anybody and everyone.
I love that. And that's essentially the philosophy behind We Love Wrestling is that inclusivity for everyone, right?
Yes.
I love that. I think that's and I just hearing you about how encouraging he is and how just kind of almost like, hey, we're all fans of wrestling and this is what we love. And also when Mission Pro comes back out of hiatus, we're gonna need some refs, Nicole. So
I know. That's the one thing. I was like, I finally like went out to like a big show, and I was like, I gotta ref at least one match for him at least once. So, and then I'll decide if I want to retire from it or not.
well, we got to set it up. We'll have to come up with your dream Mission Pro refing match. We'll have to maybe La Princesa Tiffany Nieves versus, I don't know, somebody. We'll come up with something. We'll make it legend. It's got to be Thunder Rosa, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be Thunder and somebody. Yes, Thunder will have to be in that match for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, in the chat, let's just go ahead and ask that question: Stone Cold or The Rock? Let's hear. Already, Courtney saying Stone Cold forever. Let's see.
Thank
all
you,
right.
Courtney.
Yes, there we go. Dora, you're Stone Cold as well, right?
Yes, Stone Cold forever. I was always Stone Cold. Yes, same question. Yeah, every time he'd ask too, when we would do interviews, I'd be like, obviously it's Stone Cold. Like, why would it be anybody else? Goodness.
All right, Angel Marie, I hate to put you on the spot.
Oh.
Stone Cold or The Rock?
You see, the only issue with that is I did not grow up with Stone Cold. I barely even grew up with The Rock. The Rock wasn't even like I barely remember The Rock from when I was a kid. So like, I can't really choose.
When did you start
with
wrestling?
that.
I mean, not wrestling. When did you start watching wrestling? And I'll try to see if I can curate it better for your. Okay, what about this? What about this? John Cena or Randy Orton?
Oh yeah, that's a good.
You
one.
can't ask me that.
Yes. What do you mean? It's obviously Randy Orton. What do you mean?
I know her answer. I know her answer.
Okay, there was this whole running joke from when I was a kid that Randy Orton was my uncle and John Cena was my dad. So I mean, I had to go with John Cena.
There you go. Yep. In fact, there was a whole thing that your mom said that that John Cena would visit you when you were a baby, and
that's great.
but you couldn't see him.
Yes, and she'd be like, anytime there was like a plane flying around or like a fancy car, she'd be like, "Look, it's John," and then I'll be like, "Hi, John."
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, Dad.
Early. Hey, Dad.
Well, I have to. I think I kind of have to go with Cena, even though I think Randy Orton's fantastic. That is a tough one. The Rock versus Stone Cold. Can I cheat and say Kurt Angle or Chris Jericho?
Not Chris Jericho. No.
He was young.
Not Mr. Fozzy.
I actually got thrown out of a Hooters because when Chris Jericho won Vengeance, I was the only person rooting for Chris Jericho as the undisputed champion. Everybody was Rock or Stone Cold. Nobody cared about Kurt Angle, but everybody was Rock or Stone Cold. It was like taste great, less filling, Coke or Pepsi. I was the only one in there that was cheering for Chris Jericho. And we were the table we were at. We shared a table with two other guys that we didn't even know. We just met in line. And the guy said, "Hey, if you let us sit at your table, I'll pay for everything." So this guy it was like free beer. We're just so, by the end of Vengeance, I'm out of it. And so Chris Jericho wins, and I'm standing up on the chair going, "Break the walls down!" Like that.
Oh my God.
I was escorted politely out of Hooters that night. And
Did
yeah,
he still
before
pay for the drinks though?
he paid for everything. He
Oh,
had
okay.
already
Then
got
it was a win.
it was we didn't pay for a single thing other than gas money. My buddy drove us home, but yeah, it was but if I had to pick Stone Cold or The Rock, to me, The Rock is more of an actor. I mean, even though I remember him back then, when he first was, he was The Rock. The Rock says and all this. I got to go Stone Cold. Here's why. The glass shatters is still the Stone Cold pop is like this. It's the bar. When you hear the glass shattering, an ass whooping's coming. Plus, The Rock, he can go heel and he can play a good heel. The one time Stone Cold tried to kind of be a heel, because Stone Cold's always been kind of that walking that line. He's like the bad guy you love. But that one time when he kind of tried to turn heel, it didn't work out. So to me, Stone Cold is top notch out of that whole era. So I'm in team Stone Cold, and of course, Angel, I'm in team. I root for your dad. Your daddy, who even though he's turned heel, I'm actually enjoying this whole Cena run. But there you go. There we go. So I wanted to take a moment too, just to I want to get Dora, because Dora, you jumped in and started joining We Luv Wrestling, and tell us a little bit about your experiences with Tre'D, and just and your feeling about like continuing that philosophy of We Luv Wrestling.
I feel like we all that have ever met Trey have like the same story. Like we randomly met him at like a wrestling event, or we met him online. He was like, "Hey, what's up?" And just like felt you out to see if you were someone he really wanted to be around. So like if he chose to be around you, it was like so lucky, because like he his little attitude was so fun all the time, and he was always like like we were talking about the pictures whenever he would like he did not like showing his face. I remember he was telling me one time how a lot of people thought that since he uses just the little logo of the guy holding, in the picture of the We Love Wrestling brand,
Mm-hmm.
people thought it was a white guy for like the longest time. They thought he was like a white man. So he was always like just playing to that until he started like showing his own face, like, no, this is my brand. You know what I mean? Like, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so funny to me. I was like, oh my gosh, Trey, like this is just tell everyone you're a beautiful black man and get out of here. Like, stop letting people think that you're white, because I don't want people to think you know what I mean? It was so funny, but I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I really, when I met Trey, I was like, I always say, I was going through like a terrible breakup. I had just started going to wrestling shows, Mission Pro Wrestling shows, with my friend Sam, who was selling merch and stuff at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when Trey came up to me, I think he came up to me. The first show I went to was November 2020 Mission Pro, when they would have it at Pinballs. And then I think me and Trey finally like said hello for the first time, either the January or February show of 2021. I just know my girls are with me. That's where like that picture of that I have. I don't post my kids a lot. But I have the picture of my daughters getting picked up by the Renegade twins, because that was like the first
Oh,
time. Yeah, because that day I remember when
I
we
love
met, he's
that.
like, go say hi to this person. Like, go say hi to this person. I was like, I don't even know them. I've never even like said hi to people before. And he's like, just go, I know them. He's like, they'll talk to you. So he would just like get in line with me and be like, hey, this is La Rosa Negra. This is Gypsy Mac. This is like all these people. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe like I'm meeting these people. So that's when he basically was like, hey, so I do this show called We Love Wrestling, if you want to come on and join. And I was just like, okay, because I had wrestled before, like in high school and college, but I kind of had stepped away because I had
Mm-hmm.
kids, and my girls, one of them's a girly girl, one of them's, just a regular girl who's not into like, makeup and stuff like that. She's super into like horror, I would say. She's more like thriller, video game, stuff like that.
Nice.
Um,
Scream
so
Queen.
yeah, so it was like a very like I was on these different scopes of like the spectrum of like what girls are, I guess you could say, to some people. So we really didn't have like a common thing that we were like trying to like get together with until like my daughters and me went to the Mission Pro Wrestling show, and they're like, "Oh, I like this." Like my daughter, my oldest daughter still talks about Masha Slamovich, and my youngest daughter still loves Alex Gracia. Like she loves the Pink Dream. She like those have been those girls, like they refuse to like anybody else.
I
Um
can't think of two wrestlers that embody how you describe your daughters, because
yeah, that's
the girly
exactly.
girl is the Pink Dream, Alex
Uh,
Gracia, and then Masha Slamovich. Yes, of course.
yes, which is crazy because it's like, oh my gosh, they recently since we go to the Mission Pro show, I mean not Mission Pro, like Inspire and stuff out here, they've
Yeah.
started to see Maya, so they love Maya World now. They love her.
Oh, she's
Um
fantastic.
yes, they when they saw her, they're like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. Like I can't believe it. But I would say like that's what's kind of kept me going too. Like when Trey brought me in, I was like, this is fun. Like it would be like random episodes that I would be on at first. I think I've done like what, like I think I did like one or two episodes with Nicole, right? I can't remember how many we've done together. But we've done a few together, like on and off. And then I did one with Top Rope Squishy. Like it was
Yes.
always like he was getting us in when he could, you know, because he knew he was always gonna do every episode. He had his women in wrestling, his women on Wednesdays, you know. He had the ladies' night out that he would do. He kind of just made sure that he always included every single woman that he could, no
Mhm.
matter where they were from. And he was so vast with his knowledge because it wasn't just like just American women, you know, he knew like the Latino women, like the Puerto Rican, like the Mexicans. He knew since he traveled so much for work, like he would get to go to these other shows in other countries when he would go like visit for work.
Mhm.
So it was really cool because he'd come back and be like, "Oh, I met this wrestler, I met this person, like we should get him on our radar," and stuff like that. So I think it was just always that was always the vision. Like we need to help these women, push these women because a lot of them are a lot better than these men. You know, like we've talked about that on here too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's a for us sometimes the women have gotten elevated themselves so much more now at this point
Yep.
that it's so nice. It's good. It's great. I mean, obviously the tag team, you know, belts are
Oh,
lacking, how I feel. But
yeah.
you
We,
know,
we we have
like
opinions on women's tag
yes,
teams, and like
exactly.
like I want to just scream like, come on, let's go, let's get this going. When you've got teams out there, even when we had when Jada Stone and Maya World were teaming up, I mean Jada Stone is one of my ones to watch right now too. I think she just got back from Japan,
Yes. Yes,
and
Nicole actually got me a Jada Stone shirt for my birthday.
a
It was
spark.
like the best present I'd gotten. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I like to
Oh
wear
my
that shirt."
God, that process, no offense to Jada, but that process of
Plus, this
getting
is
that shirt was insane.
I got it eventually though. That's how I feel. It was worth the wait every time. It was like, fuck it, let's do it. And then at the same time, I think also it was like it got sent to me, and then my parents didn't realize that, you know, that I don't go by like Laura online. So we got the package. They were like, "Who is this
who's
for?" They didn't know who it was, and they just sent it back. So
who's
it was like this.
Dora? We don't have a Dora
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So it was like a big old like rotating, and it made it just so awful because then Nicole had to call. We had to do this. Like it was literally like the craziest process. And I was like, next time, just so you know, if packages come for this person, it's me. Okay, in the future. Because oh my gosh, that was like the craziest thing, but worth it in the end. I love that shirt. So
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Would you say and this is I want to get to Angel's experience too in a second, but I want to just ask Dora and Nicole, and maybe start with Nicole first. Do you feel like Trey's philosophy of supporting, especially when he's supporting women's wrestling and really trying to help elevate it, I feel like he was a part of a movement where we are now, where women's wrestling, you can argue the women's revolution or evolution, what have you, but I feel like in independent shows and overall, women's wrestling is almost approaching a renaissance, where, like you said earlier, I mean, the women are in a lot of cases more entertaining than the men are at this point, or at least in a lot of cases, they're putting in the work, they're doing a lot of the great spots. Granted, the booking in certain larger companies might need some tweaking here and there. But I'll ask Nicole first. Do you feel like, kind of keeping with Trey's philosophy, are we, other than the trolls online, do you feel like the internet community is coming together, and you feel like it's becoming a safer place, especially for women's wrestlers and female fans?
I mean, I still think obviously there's always opportunities, especially considering like different areas.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, I think there is more awareness, which is what helps in any type of these situations. And also it's just more of a more of a respect, because obviously like 10, 15 years ago, yes, we had like a prominent, that's when we started getting like the prominent indie boom. So that's when you start having like all these girls who are now a TV vets. So you think about when you think about like the Kyrie Sanes, you think about like the Stardom, you think about Shimmer, and you think about just the groundwork those promotions laid, because they weren't afraid to get their head busted open. They wanted to wrestle, and that also, you can't even think about that with also mentioning TNA in its first iteration. Like you
Yeah.
think about the Gail Kims and the Awesome Kongs in that area, in that era. And I think, and also just especially nowadays, the women try, and I think that's why people are more gravitating, especially in the mainstream aspect of wrestling, because I feel like, to be honest, a lot of the men's talent just rests on their laurels, because they know that if they have a certain look and if they have a certain body type, that they know that they could get decently far with being okay in the ring. And for women, we know that we can't do that. You always have to be, if a man is at 80%, you have to be at 120 to even get half of his like half of the recognition. So I think people are recognizing all the work that all the women are putting in, and it's showing, and like it's starting to, obviously there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be made up, and there's still way too many first, in my opinion, but we're getting there.
I feel like it's going in the right direction. Would you agree, Dora?
Oh, I definitely agree. I think it's going in a great direction. Like obviously there's still those, like we saw with some of the releases, how all of us kind of feel about differently about certain things. Like the women, there's some people that still aren't respecting some of the women that we feel like they should be respected and they should be used in a certain type of way, but they're not getting used yet in that type of way. But also like I feel like honestly, as far as like indie wrestling goes, I think every single woman that Trey ever pushed for to be main roster in like an indie or like an AEW or something like that, they're in those positions
Yeah.
now.
Look at
Like
Sky
yeah,
Blue.
every
Yeah.
single person. He was super like Trey could see you do one match and he could tell like if you were gonna be good or not. And he'd be like, hey, do you want to be on the pod? Like he just knew. Like if there was he'd see you do a match and he was like, that was garbage, he'd be like, that was garbage, but let me try and give him one more try. But he really didn't give people like well, I mean wrestlers anyway, like more than I would say two chances to like impress him. But if you impressed him first time, he would always like make sure that he gave you that push or that like encouragement to keep going. And I just think like that's probably one of the things I miss majorly about him was how good he was at pushing these women into certain spaces so that they would be used and that you would see them. That's why we're able to see Maya. That's why we're able to see Jada. That's why we're able to see Thunder Rosa so much. That's why we're able to see like there's so many people, Jocelyn Navarro, Alexis Littlefoot, like there's so many people that he was like, these are my women that I'm picking to keep going and that they're going to be mainstream some type, and they've catapulted themselves like quickly in the past 2 years, 2 to 3 years. They've just gone up.
Love it.
And that's what I'm hoping, like you, Roxy, even Maddie Rankowski,
Yeah.
like
I was gonna say
there's
Maddie.
Yeah, like Sky Blue. There was so many people that he encouraged that are now like in our faces, like as often as they can get in them. So I
Awesome.
definitely think we're in the right direction.
Angel, let's hear some of your thoughts and just kind of your experience with Trey. You and your mom were bonded over going to Mission Pro matches, and so you kind of had that similar kind of experience in getting the wrestling bug, if you will. And I love some of the pictures that you've shared about you and your mom, and your mom's just you both of you grinning ear to ear at these wrestling events. Tell us about your interactions, of course, with Trey, and just kind of how that parallels his philosophy of We Luv Wrestling.
Yeah, I unfortunately never got to meet Trey. I really didn't even know who he was up until like recently when we were talking about him and stuff on the podcast. But just hearing both of you guys and like all these different people talk so highly about him is so beautiful to think that like there was a person like that amazing that existed. It's really touching. And yeah, I love the We Luv Wrestling whole thing. And yeah, it's so beautiful. Like literally just listening to you two talk about Trey, I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's amazing.
I love that. I never had the pleasure of face to face meeting Trey. I kind of knew him through like some people I knew him through Top Rope Squishy. I was a big person, a big I want to say troll, but in a positive way. But I was always in the chat, always listening, and of course I've suffered the hot seat as well as Trey has with Top Rope Squishy, and she's coming back. She's being super mom right now, but she wants to bring Top Rope Squishy back. But what I remember from Trey, and of course, in watching him, the way he the I want to say calmness, but just kind of the at putting people at ease, and just he seemed easy to talk to, and every guest that he had, just it was a conversation. It wasn't like an interview. There was a chat. Would you agree? I mean, it to me that's something, and just being able to just bring everybody together, and that's kind of one of the things that I think when we were all talking about doing something special for Trey, and also kind of bring the communities together. And I don't know, to me it's like I want us to kind of continue that philosophy of if I love wrestling, you love wrestling, we love wrestling. So we decided we're going to try something fun, to put smiles on our faces, because we don't want to be boo-hoo. We want to smile when we remember Trey. We decided to put together a fun contest to kind of put all of these wrestling podcasts in competition with each other, but a friendly competition. And it's going to be for the We Luv Wrestling Fantasy Draft. And we're already hooking up with some podcasts. We've already got some confirmations, but we're going to have at least 8 podcasts competing. And Nicole, you've officially put your hat in the ring for Down for the Count. Is that correct?
Yes, we are in. I'm roping my other 2 cohorts. I informed them. I only got 1 response, but they'll do it. Obviously, they were obviously very very excited about this as well. So
very cool. Very cool. And again, there's going to be an actual draft that's going to take place. I'll go through really quickly some of the rules here, and we'll post this up on in Mission Pro's YouTube. But the fantasy draft, it's going to be each team. We might have more than 8 teams, because there's a huge a lot of people wanting to be part of it. We might cap it at 10. We're working those details out. But each team will draft 8 female wrestlers, 3 of which must be considered indie talent, because again, that goes with Trey's philosophy of uplifting the indie talent and getting them to the next level. So you can't just go and pick a bunch of WWE wrestlers or a bunch of AEW wrestlers. We want to try to get the Kylan Kings and a few of those out there. And indie talent is defined as not currently signed to any major promotion, AEW, WWE, TNA, NWA. If it's like if they're wrestling for RCW or ROW, that doesn't I don't want to consider those major promotions, but even though they're awesome, but like if it's an AEW, WWE, if they have a signed contract, then they're not considered indie talent. The draft will take place prior to Memorial Day weekend. You only need one person from your team present. So, Nicole, you can represent on draft day, but you're going to be playing as a team. I know Tall can. We only need one person for each team present, and then you'll draft your 8. And it's going to be kind of like random order. It's going to be just like draft, just like the draft day. Like, the team. Team Lip Gloss and Ladders, they draft Masha Slamovich, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then between Friday, May 23rd through Monday, September 1st, so basically from Memorial Day to Labor Day, each teams will earn 1 point for every win their wrestlers earn, according to CageMatch.com. I figured a great way to just kind of keep it fair for everybody is we're going to go off the official stats of CageMatch.com. I'll do all the data tracking because I'm on Cage Match all the time looking up stats and stuff. So what I'll do is each week on our show, we'll present the rankings, how many points each team has for the week, as well as I will send that out to you all through our communications, whether it's on Instagram or email or what have you. I'll send out all of that. Wrestler earns a point if they or their team earns a victory. So, for example, if you drafted Maya World and she's in a tag match with she and Jada Stone are in a tag match, and Jada Stone gets the pin, but their team wins, you still get a point for Maya World because she got the win. Battle Royals will only count if the wrestler is the winner. We will provide weekly updates on the team rankings on our show. That's what I just said. Please also try to talk this up on your respective platforms. That way we can kind of get the competition going. Like, oh, we're coming for you, CCG. Tommy and Microplastics, you better watch out. We're coming for you. And then prior to July 4th, we will hold an extension draft where each team will draft 2 additional wrestlers and have the opportunity to swap out wrestlers if needed. So, for example, if someone's just not doing it or someone's injured or if there's something like that, you'll have an opportunity around July 4th to do some swapping out. That way you're not stuck with, a bunch of wrestlers that aren't doing it for you. And after Monday, September 1st, the team with the most cumulative points will be declared the winner and will be crowned the official.
You gotta make yourself bigger. Put yourself big on the screen.
We're gonna go
Let's
bigger.
go big.
Here we go. The
Go big
official.
or go home.
Yes.
Go big or go home. The official We Luv Wrestling. My lights hit. There we go. We Luv Wrestling champion in honor of Tre'D through Mission Pro Wrestling. We Luv Wrestling champion will be declared. It's fresh leather. Smells great. Who's going to be the champions? Will it be the Down for the Count podcast? Will it be Angel and Dora from Mission Pro Spotlight? Will it be Tommy and Microplastics? We will have to find out. But there can be only one champion podcast, and they will get to show off this belt and be able to say that, yes, they are the We Luv Wrestling champion. And I just love how this turned out.
It turned out so nice. It looks so good, actually. I love it.
I was so taken aback when I saw that. I had to exit out because again, I think I was talking to Lovely about it. I hadn't seen his face in obviously so long.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little bit jarring for a second, but we're very excited.
Yeah, when you played the intro, when I saw the intro, that's what got me, because I hadn't heard his voice in maybe a month or two, because I know sometimes I'll hear episodes or I'll randomly play something that his voice was in at least once a month, but it's still every time I hear his voice, my chest, I can just feel it. I'm ugh, I haven't I don't get to hear his voice like that anymore, so
I love that part at the where if I love wrestling, you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. That's a philosophy I hope that we can continue to spread and hopefully and have some fun doing it with this draft. That's what I'm hoping we can do. And just to kind of show you, this is going to be kind of how the data will look. You'll see, like, I'll send out like the rankings. Now, right now, it's just there's some spots open that we might turn this into 10 instead of 8. And you can see down for the count. The rankings will be based off their points, and then each of you will have a stable where you'll have your name, and then you'll have like the wrestlers that you've chosen, with 3 of them being indie wrestlers. And then at around July 4th, we're going to add 2 more so that we can you can round out your stable of 10. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this will be a great way to just honor Tre'D, but also kind of unite the podcast a little bit under that philosophy as well.
Are we going to be able to, I guess my only question would be, if one of the other teams pick someone, can we pick the same person, or they have to be?
No.
Okay.
That's going to be the draft. It's just like SmackDown and Raw. It's
so
just
you're saying come early.
No.
Okay, show up on time. Okay, Angel, we got to be here on time, Angel. We got to get these good people.
Yeah, you got it.
I usually am.
You can start plotting now. And a word of advice in these kind of drafts: don't necessarily go for the most popular wrestlers. Go for the workhorses, the ones that are racking up wins. I'll go ahead and say someone like a Masha Slamovich is probably going to be earning you more points than a Liv Morgan, or a Tony. Well, actually, Tony Storm's been defending.
Yeah, I was going to say Tony Storm's
she's been working. But a Mercedes Monet, okay, maybe that's maybe you want to avoid a Mercedes, but go with a Tony Storm or what have you.
She might be the ace for everybody, since she's the only person to guarantee not a loss at this point in any company. Well,
we'll see. I still think Athena has got some unfinished business at All In, so we'll see. All right. I'll ask this, Nicole. Who is your favorite female wrestler right now?
I go back and forth with this a lot right now, but to me, it's the sign talent that's my favorite right now is Mariah May. That's my favorite signed talent. My favorite indie wrestler right now is Jocelyn Navarro.
Nice.
And I'm from Cleveland area. I'm a very hometown centric person, but also she's just been absolutely killing it, and I've been a big fan of hers for a while now. And then obviously Jada Stone is a big one for me as well, because especially I had her. I also helped do Black Wrestling Podcast. Shout out to Black Wrestling Podcast. I also did their After the 50, and she was on my After the 50 list as well. So those are. I'm sorry, I cheated, so I picked 2.
That's cheating is allowed when those kind of questions come out. You heard me say Chris Jericho when you asked me about Rock or Stone Cold. So, it's all allowed. Well, Nicole, I know that you are very busy. I appreciate you hanging with us. You're welcome to stay, but we're gonna rant and rave about the WWE releases here.
Oh, that's been my pet peeve for. I don't like watching SmackDown anyways. I always say that SmackDown is just not a show for me. But that just completely took me out a lot for a while, because I felt like a couple of those releases were just like, what are we doing here, Hunter? But yes, but again, thank you guys so much for having me on here. I unfortunately have to go play around in my shoot job for a little bit, but can't wait for the draft. I don't like to lose, so this will be fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll keep this belt warm for you.
For everybody.
I'll keep it nice and shiny for you. So when I mail it out to you in September, it'll be ready for you.
Got you. But you guys have a good night. Again, thanks for having me.
You too, Nicole. We can't wait to have you back. All right. Awesome. Yep. And hey, girls, you're gonna have to. Nicole, she knows her stuff. She's gonna be already looking for for what talent's going to be joining.
I feel like everyone on the list. Oh, we need to. My friend Megan's in the chat. We need to add her thing.
Yes,
But
Megan.
I
Yeah,
feel
Paul
like
can and Megan's
yes,
podcast too.
yes.
Megan wants the belt. Megan, you want to get another look there, Megan? You think you're going to be getting this? And hey, Know the Ropes is in there too. Know the Ropes. I think Know the Ropes is going to be part of this. So it could be going to Know the Ropes.
I feel like it's gonna get so crazy because there's so many a lot of these podcasts are very indie based, but we're also super very, very, very WWE AEW. So everyone's gonna be fighting. I feel like it's gonna be such a fight draft night. I don't know what you're gonna do, mediator over there, but it's gonna get crazy.
I'm gonna cut it down the middle. We're gonna cut it down the middle. We're going to definitely I'm gonna keep it fair. Definitely it's gonna be up. Tall Can already talking. Y'all going down. Uh-oh. Tall Can listening, already talking. All right, let's see.
Well, you know what? We might not be going down, but if this was a basketball game, yeah, I'd be going down. But we're not gonna go down.
Yeah, what Angel said. Go sports. Yeah.
Go sports. I think Know the Ropes is on this too. I think Know the Ropes is going to be in this. Let us know in the chat. Know the Ropes. Are you going to be Hoop at 6?
Hoop at 6.
Jenna says NPW's winning. So these are all the podcasts are going. So this is the beautiful title. So it could be yours. Don't worry about it. But when we have the draft and Courtney is in a draft with us at Dynamite Download where we draft AEW wrestlers, and she'll tell you these drafts are fun. Where it'll be a party atmosphere. Bring some beverages. Usually the last couple draft picks are usually a little bit. I'll pick Charlotte Flair. I'll pick the Fabulous Moolah, or something like that. So it's gonna be pretty cool. All right. So again, thank you, Trey, for all your influence, and we want to continue the spirit of if I love wrestling, you love wrestling, we love wrestling. I thought, and just to kind of cleanse our palate, I'm gonna play that intro again, and then we're going to start talking about something that might get us a little froggy. We might get a little hoppy about this next topic, and but what we can also add some creativity on speculating what's next. But I'm a little perturbed when I was putting this together at the number of female talent that was let go by WWE. But we'll get to that in a second. But let's cleanse our palate. Once again, thank you, Tre'D.
This evening, we celebrate the life and influence of one of wrestling's brightest stars. We look to continue the legacy of Tre'D by embracing his philosophy and kindness throughout the wrestling community.
Like I always say, if I love wrestling, you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. That's 2 Street.
All right. I just gotta say, Knopf, Tall Can listening. Drunk Knopf picks Kelly. You're not right.
You're never gonna get enough points with that kind of thing.
All right. Brie Bella has been picked by Tall Can listening. not Nikki Bella. Brie Bella has been picked.
Just Brie.
Oh my gosh.
Just Brie. All right. WWE releases. So, in case you've been living under a rock, WWE just released in the last 3 months. WWE has released a total of 13 female talent just from the list. I mean, not to mention others. And some of these ladies were already in big storylines, and it just all of a sudden, poof, they're gone. This pissed off a lot of us. A lot of us are confused. And some of us are kind of going through that. We're away from confusion, and now we're kind of ticked off about it. But to me, the number of, and not just random slug. These aren't slugs. These are talented, extremely talented women wrestlers, and I just can't. I'm shocked at some of this. And there's some that I know. Angel Marie her favorite wrestler was in a faction with two of them
Mm-hmm.
that I thought was going to be the next big thing, and poof. So maybe they can reunite somewhere down the line. But what I figure we'll do is I'd like to go through each of these and just for us to kind of talk about what these individual wrestlers mean to us and where we speculate them going. But before we do that, and let us know in the chat too your thoughts. I want to start with Angel Marie and then go to Dora. What does this say about the direction of WWE and their kind of approach to women's wrestling and especially like women's tag team wrestling? Do you feel like this was kind of a bad look, especially in the light of, I mean, people are really criticizing WWE. The one guy that made Angel Marie root for somebody she hates, Alberto Del Rio, is now signed with WWE. So causing Angel Marie to root for a guy that she has openly hated because she had to root against Alberto Del Rio. And so then, bad. Yeah, which that was probably a mixed emotions, Angel, but also, signing him, but also with the whole Vince McMahon, lawsuit, whatever. Is this a bad look for WWE to release this many female wrestlers, or is this just business? Angel, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I guess it could be business, but it is a really, really bad look. I mean, I know some of these women weren't from like the batch of releases from this weekend, but still, the fact that there's been this many is like alarming, absolutely alarming, and a lot of them were tag teams too. It's like, what? And like, I know we're gonna talk about Chemical X, but I'm just like, Chemical X. I was like, this is their like future champions, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, now Gigi and Shotzi are gone. Okay, what are we doing here? Like,
I don't know. And we've talked about on the show too about how frustrated we are about, make up your mind. Is Roxy on the main roster or not? Kind of like that. And some people like the ease of the transition, but Dora, your thoughts just really quickly before we dive into the individuals. Is this a bad look? Is this business, or is this WTF?
I don't even know what to say anymore. When I was sitting there on Friday, like messaging y'all, like I couldn't believe every single talent they were dropping. And it was mainly women. And I was like, what the fuck is Hunter doing? What is TKO doing? Like, I can't imagine Shawn Michaels is excited about any of these because most of them were his releases. Like, at least 50% of the girls that got released were from NXT, or they had just been told that they were probably going to get moved up. Like, it's just so much. Like, I feel like they hate the tag team divisions. They hate women's tag teams. They got rid of two actual tag teams, the Chemical X and then Katana and Kaden. Like,
Metaphor, technically Metaphor too, but go ahead.
Yeah, true. Metaphor, definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right with Metaphor. I don't even want to think about Jakara being gone right now. But, like, just, I don't understand what direction they're going. Like, are they just going to throw a whole bunch of tag teams together again? Because we already saw with Shayna, Zoe, and Sonya, like, that shit did not work out. Like, you can't just throw people together and expect everyone to, like, gravitate towards them. Because that's definitely not what happened with a lot of the tag teams they've been trying to form. And no way they have that much faith in Raquel and Liv Morgan being tag champions the way they are.
And Liv Morgan
no way.
being champion and going on hiatus. Why not drop those titles to somebody, an actual tag team, while she's gone? But
they said she's supposed to be back by like next week, by the 17th, 18th. But like, I thought she was in a big movie. Like, you all made it seem like it was like this giant movie, and giant movies don't get
a Marvel role or something.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like third cheerleader, axed by by Jason or something. Not Jenna says, and Damage Control is not the same. My understanding, according to Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer, Damage Control is just dissolved. There's been no storyline resolution. It's just done. Like, they just almost like, oh, that happened, and now Kairi Sane, they might bring Asuka back, whatever. But let's get right to it. Let's probably the most controversial I would argue the most controversial, the most WTF release, Dakota Kai, who I don't know how many title shots she had. She was like, I think she was the favorite. It was between her and Lyra for the Intercontinental title. And then she had, a couple chances at it. And then, for Dakota Kai to get released, especially when she actually seemed like she was on a roll. Let me start with Dora with Dakota Kai. Is this the most shocking release? And your thoughts on Coda, as well as where do you think she's going to land going forward?
This one definitely shocked me. I kind of felt like she was talking a lot over these past few months, but I felt like she was talking and they were listening. So for them to just ask her, I was just like, where did Dakota go? Like, it makes no sense because I think it was last week I can't remember what. I think it was last week we were just talking about Io's out here with Rhea. Why is she out here with Rhea? Like, where's Dakota? Where's Kyrie? Where's Asuka? Like, where is her team? So for her to get released days later, I was just fighting for my girl. Like, you're right. She was in that tournament for the Intercontinental. She had, I think it was her and Michin, right? That we were, or is that not the same? Maybe I'm on the
No,
wrong show.
Michin was Michin or
SmackDown.
Chelsea for
Chelsea Green.
for
Okay,
the
so
American.
Dakota, it was Lyra. I think I was saying that I wanted Zoe was my second pick, right? For this
Yeah.
one. So which I'm gonna cry if we lose Zoe, honestly. I might be so sad if they got rid of that whole
we'll talk about when we get to
yeah,
Pony
exactly.
Club
But
because
Dakota Kai, yeah, she was definitely a shock for me. I didn't see her coming. I thought they were still giving her chances, if I'm being honest. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Angel, of course, we're going to get into some of your most rage-inducing releases and how close we came to the third member of Chemical X being released. And I think they held off on that because Hunter knows what's good for him. He knows that you'll burn down WWE headquarters if Tatum Paxley got released. Don't use this as evidence, by the way. If there's
we're gonna cut that. We'll cut that.
Never happened. Brainwash.
Your thoughts on Dakota Kai and where do you think she's gonna go next?
Yeah, I think it's literally so insane. Dakota Kai of all people. How are we releasing Dakota? What? It really is. It's so weird to me. But I don't know where she goes next. I mean, maybe TNA, but I also wouldn't be mad if we saw her in the Independents and got her over here down to San Antonio. You know what I mean?
Yes, Mission Pro to Hybrid School, United 2-0. Our future GM over here. Yes.
Now, I'm not trying to start anything, but Coda versus Izzy would feed the homeless. I think that would definitely be something that we could book. And that is kind of the silver lining. These releases, we're in a state with wrestling now where there are options. Matt Cardona went on the Busted Open podcast, and he also put out a tweet as well as Instagram that if today you can bust your ass and work your tail off and still make a living as an independent wrestler, and there's AEW, and TNA is not the TNA of Dixie Carter. TNA is a viable. You could even go up to Canada and go to Scott D'Amore's Maple Leaf Wrestling is taken off, So, and if you dare go after La Princesa, you can go to NWA. And if you like getting kicked in the head by the Kick Demon, you can go to MLW.
MLW, yeah.
Yep. So there are options, but I would pay good money to see Coda and Izzy. So yes, Coda, love to see you join Mission Pro. I do think though, I heard, again, Wrestling Observer, say what you want about Meltzer and them. They're kind of, they have some inside information, but sometimes I think they start more rumors than it's meant to be. I think Coda was actually, when she first left WWE, she was in talks of AEW. And then then they brought her back, and now I don't know if she's going to go there or not, but we shall see. But let's move right along. Let's talk. If you don't mind, I'd like to start this one.
Yes, please, please.
Metaphor had one of the best entrances in wrestling. It was one of the most stylish. The way they would do the 4 colors, and then when you had Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, they were like the Sprite, lemon lime kind of colors. I loved this tag team, and I thought they should have been a dominant main roster tag team. And again, this is one of my frustrations with the whole thought process behind women's tag team champions. And I'm starting to understand why the then Sasha Banks and Naomi
Trinity,
Trinity were like they were like, screw this, you guys aren't taking us seriously. The tag team wrestling to me is more entertaining than one-on-one. I love the whole crowd pop. The hot tag is like, to me, is one of the cool. It works even today. Now, between the two, I'll admit I was much more of a Lash Legend fan than Jakara, just more because I wanted to see Lash just rip people apart. I wanted to see Lash versus Rhea, but you don't have to break up a tag team to get the Meta Girl. You don't have to break up the Meta Girls to have a one-on-one, and it could always lead to tag team stuff. But I'll ask you guys, do you think Jakara Jackson got overshadowed by Lash, or I'm trying to make sense of this, but Jakara is fantastic herself. Let me go to Angel first and then to Dora. Jakara Jackson, is this a huge loss? And where do you see her next?
Yeah, I think it is a huge loss. And honestly, from what I saw, I don't think one overshadowed the other in the Meta Girls. I felt like they were honestly just so good together that it was just like equal amounts of talent coming together. And so I don't really see that like Jakar was being overshadowed or anything. So it's just, it's another one that I'm like, how are we just letting go of this person? I'm like, with so many people.
That a lot tonight, Angel. You're gonna see.
Yes, yes, with so many people that got released, it's like, why? What? Like, they were literally just together last week and then broke up randomly. And I mean, now we see why they got broken up. But I'm like,
it was such a matter of fact too. It was such a matter of fact break. It was like, we should go our separate ways. Okay, Gnome is back. Hey, welcome back, Gnome. All right, let's go.
We'll see you later.
All right, peace out.
Yeah. All right, Dora. I see it, and of course, every time Pepe makes a comment, I have to hydrate. I know how you feel about Mercedes Moné.
Yes.
Do you agree with Pepe that Jakara reminds you of Mercedes?
No. God, no. Oh my gosh. Not even close to yes, no. And I mean that in a positive way towards Jakara, not Moné. Yeah. I think I was devastated by this one because how the fuck are you going to keep Nikita and get rid of Jakara? And they were really good friends. I feel like Nikita did some hoe-ass shit to Jakara because if you notice these last, I would say like 3 weeks to a month, she had been spending a lot more time with Tatum. Paxley a lot because I had been seeing them online more and she hadn't been around Nikita like that. So I feel like there was some like backdoor stuff, which is crazy to me because she was like the only person who believed in Nikita and them knee braces. You know what I mean? Like she was over here. No. But Jakara is a huge loss to me. I'm hoping she goes down to, I kind of want to see her in TNA. I want to see her in TNA because if Lash is going to not get moved up and she stays at NXT for a little bit, or even if they have them do that in between thing, we would at least get to see like a Jakara versus Lash and we can see like how, yes, they were good together, but they're good individuals. Like Jakara brought like the cute, like strong girl or like I would say smaller strong girl, like, but she
Mhm.
was still a powerhouse and she still could fly. They had some of the best tag team, like, what is it, moves together, her and Lash. Like they were
Mhm.
just like, that's why I'm just like so shocked that
Yep.
they let her go, because her and Lash work so well together. And I feel like, how are you breaking up one of the only tag teams? Like I feel like we're gonna say that a few times
Yeah, I
tonight.
was about to say you're gonna say
But
that
like,
again when we get to
yeah,
Chemical
because
X
it just doesn't make
and
sense. Like, why are you getting
Aiden.
rid of these tag teams like this? Like, you let
Now
Liv have the belts and have the tag team belts. Why can't we have other people
Oh.
have the belts and the tag team belts?
it
Like,
drives
it's
me
so
nuts. It
frustrating.
drives me
So
nuts. Now
frustrating.
I will defend Pepe. I see what he's talking about from a look wise. Like, I I would argue Jakara is a better Mercedes Monet than Mercedes Monet.
I don't
I
think
actually
Mercedes Monet knows herself as a person or a
yeah,
wrestler right now at this point
yes.
in her life. Like I feel like I really feel like that divorce affected her more than she's able to show us.
Mhm.
And you're kind of starting to see how lost she kind of is. But we're also watching her
Mhm.
re-find herself at the same
Yes,
time.
and I always
Mhm.
say ever since she had that match with that first match with Statlander, she's kind of finding herself in the ring, and I think that it was a mistake to stop her interactions with Harley Cameron, because I think Harley Cameron was helping develop her personality. I think that we need to continue that Mercedes Monet versus Athena feud, what have you. But Jakara Jackson, a lot of people saying TNA. I think she'd be phenomenal in TNA. I think her versus the former Dana Brooke Ash by Elegance that would be a banger.
Her versus
Um,
Masha,
oh, her
yeah,
versus Masha would be fantastic. I
her
think
and
it would be
Indy,
great.
now that Indy's there.
Hmm.
Indy Hartwell.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of good people. Yeah.
Indy had a great reception when
Mhm.
everybody when she came back. I thought that was fantastic. All right, Cora Jade. I'll start with you, Dora. Cora Jade, she kind of just came back. She was Roxy's
Mhm.
BFF, then she wasn't, but then and Cora's kind of gone through a metamorphosis. I remember when she was Elena Black. The first time I saw her was on an episode of Dark on AEW as Elena Black. She had this little voodoo box and stuff, and tarot cards and stuff, and then she became then. I've always felt like Cora Jade and Sky Blue swapped gimmicks. Like Elena Black went from kind of this voodoo dark priestess
Mhm.
to skater girl, with the hat sideways and the skateboard. And then like Sky Blue went from that to the corrupted, friend of Julia Hart.
Mhm.
But um people have had mixed feelings about Cora Jade. Some say it's a huge loss and that wherever she goes, it's going to be fantastic. And then some say it's no big loss. Where are you with Cora Jade?
I feel like I went through a lot with Cora Jade because
Mm-hmm.
if you remember, like I was very much like I didn't get what she was doing there when she
Mm-hmm.
first came back. I was like, what is she kind of doing here? I will say she has improved. I would say I don't want to use the word a lot, but she has
Mm-hmm.
improved. She did
Yeah.
start, kind of getting me like, okay, I kind of like what she's doing.
Do you think when you say
Now.
improved, do you mean just the ring, or do you feel also like her promos have gotten better?
She's gotten better in the ring for sure. In the ring. Uh,
Thank you for
um,
keeping it positive, Dora. Thank
yeah,
you.
because I feel like she was doing good going down to TNA because those were people more like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say her speed, but it was like she needed to go back to remember the same thing with her. Like, she's someone that came back from an injury. She got her
Yep.
new things and she came back from that
Yeah.
also, so
Wrestling
she's had,
padding, it's
yes,
wrestling
yeah,
padding.
exactly, the muscle padding, she got those, so she had to go away for a little bit with that too, so it was like she very much was very rusty for, like, I would say the first few months, but then putting her back with Roxy was very good, I feel, for her, because I feel like Roxanne's, like she's been showing, she can pretty much work with anybody and she can
Yeah.
help build you as long as you're there like with her and you're gonna put in the work that she has always put in. Because
I
Roxy's one of those
yeah.
rare people that came from indies to over here.
Mhm. I
And it
think it's
wasn't just
interesting.
Mhm.
I think it's interesting that Roxy went from one BFF that's got, or one friend that has multicolored hair, to Julia, who's kind of almost the new Cora Jade. It's like Cora Jade 2.0 now, and not in wrestling, but as far as like the gimmick or whatever.
Yeah, and I think they'll be good together. I think Julia and her working together will be good because they, like I said, they both have Julia and Roxy have both come from either independent wrestling or Japanese wrestling.
Yep.
So they've done already the world thing, but they haven't done the WWE thing. So them doing it together is going to be super good for them. I feel like it's going to be a little bit more of pushing Julia because she's so new in the WWE world. But I think Roxy is a good person because, I mean, if she can make me like Cora Jade, I feel like she can make anybody. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think Cora Jade, same thing. I think TNA would be a good move for her just because, she can beat up Tessa. I know she did not like that girl. And I just, anyone that'll beat up Tess Blanchard is a great lady for me,
Dora's got a secret agenda. She wants everyone to go to TNA and just line up at Tessa's locker room. I mean, you should be glad. I just get a kick out of the Tessa Masha feud because, I mean, that's like, okay, Tessa, we're going to have you fight this rabid pitbull Wolverine.
Yes.
Masha Slamovich. Angel, are you kind of along the same lines of Dora, or do you have a different take on Cora Jade? Where would you like to see Elena Black? Do you think she's bound for TNA, or do you think other places?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be really cool to see her in TNA just because, she already had been to TNA a few times with the whole crossover thing. I got to see her live, but at a TNA show instead of a WWE show. So I think that, TNA would be a really good route. And they probably do want to sign her. I mean, if they literally used her, I mean, they've definitely got their eyes on her. But I don't know if she's gonna immediately sign because she's literally posting everywhere. Guys, hit me up on my Gmail and stuff. Or it wasn't even a Gmail; it was a Yahoo. That's what surprised me. Actually, really randomly, that surprised me because it was a Yahoo, and no one uses Yahoo anymore. Like, there's only a couple. My mom used Yahoo.
AOL.
She had a Yahoo.
As long as it's not AOL, because no, sir. What are you still doing there?
She's using her Mima's laptop or something. Exactly. Not Jen, of course. Unbreakable. We did not like Tessa, including me. Yeah, I heard Tessa's getting some booze. There you go. So that's Cora Jade. We wish her. Elena Black is now unleashed. I think it'd be interesting. I actually would like to see, and I think it would benefit Elena Black if she
do indies.
What's that?
To do the indie circuit a little bit.
Well, definitely, yeah. That's what I was going to say. And in particular, I think she ought to feud a little bit with Thunder Rosa for the Riot Cabaret title.
Ooh.
Because I think with the padding, the recent addition padding, I think she could really fit in with the Riot Cabaret style. And I think that that would be an opportunity for her to go to the UK for a little bit, kind of get that passport stamped. We've talked about Carolina Cruz. I think Carolina Cruz is a great example of what to do after WWE. Is you don't just go, woe is me. You hit the ground running. Or actually, in her case, you hop in a sports car and you hit the NOS tank. Carolina is everywhere. Every time I see Carolina Russell, she gets better and better, and it's because of the work she's putting in. And I think that's what Cora Jade needs to do. And a lot of these others that we're going to talk about, which brings us to, and now, I got feelings about this, and the next slide is going to be who you think it is. We came this close to the WWE headquarters being burned down by a certain person from San Antonio. We will not talk about who, but I have said, as you've heard, it's on record. Chemical X was something special, and I am stunned that not just one but two of those three are no longer with WWE. And now I'm not trying to wish Tapax to leave WWE, but if she does, I want her to go with them wherever they go. But if she stays, she'll stay. I am shocked at this one and the next one, and I don't understand it because the fans were behind it. Just go and see their tag team match against Ash by Elegance, because they were in sync. It was the same thing with the Meta Girls.
Mhm.
Gigi and Tatum were just in they're almost like Young Bucks level of in sync with each other. So, Angel, the floor is yours. Please try to be as positive as possible with your thoughts on Gigi Dolan, and we might as well throw in Shotzi as well, because Shotzi, she didn't necessarily let go, but they're not renewing her contract, so she's also putting Yahoo at AOL.com. Please, where do you want me to go? That emails go directly to her tank, but your thoughts on Gigi breaking up Chemical X, because that's what we're really talking about. Why would you break up Chemical X, Angel?
My exact question. My exact question. Why? Why are we breaking up Chemical X? I literally, y'all know me here. I love these like dark, weird, creepy, I don't know, like quirky, like people and tags, and they just got broken up. I'm like, are we serious here? Are we joking? What is going on? And I genuinely, I really thought Tatum was going to be gone because they got rid of Gigi. Then they're basically like getting rid of Shotzi too. I seriously thought Tatum was going to be gone. And
did you see the picture of Shotzi having lunch with Athena? And that was the first time where I was like, ooh, I don't know what's going on here. And then sure enough, and then I'll be honest with you, Angel. We have our group chat with the Slay Squad has its group chat. I was hoping not to have to tell you if that was going to happen. I kept refreshing the list, and I was like, oh, please don't get rid of Tatum. Please don't get rid of Tatum.
That was a big one. I was like, I can't take Angel crying today because Tatum is gone too. It was too much for my heart.
Angel can't destroy her room. We don't want Angel going to prison for just for arson.
Oh my god. I mean, if anything happens, if Tatum were to get released and certain buildings get caught on fire, or certain things happen, I'm not involved with any of it. I don't know why I would be involved with any of it. So.
Yep. But Angel Marie would bring on her Triple H doll, and then hold like a lighter and just be like, "Oh, look who's Triple H."
This is a fun game.
Let's burn Triple H. Let's go, Dora. They're light at the end of the tunnel, though. Of course, even if Tatum was to be let go, why break up Chemical X? And where do you think Gigi and Shotzi are going to land? And should they try to bring back some form of Chemical X? I don't think it'll be the same without Tatum. But
I feel like with Shotzi, I guess I wasn't as shocked with her because she's taken so much time off and she was injured before, so she came back in, she got those stem cells, like Rey Mysterio got. She came back and built for a little bit, but then she left to go get married. And then she still came back and wrestled that house show in her wedding dress. Like, she had I thought they were going to do more with her. Like, Chemical X was such a good concept that they hadn't done yet. Like, that was definitely very Powderpuff Girls. We hadn't had a Powderpuff Girls type-esque thing yet. It's definitely a darker version of them. But it was good when Gigi came back with Tatum. I feel like I was a little bit I wasn't sure about what the hell was gonna be, but from the first match they were good together, and I was like, this is great. I hope they keep going. And like you said, they were going on in TNA. They literally were supposed to have today a title shot for the tag team belts.
Yep. Which they should have won. Yep.
Yeah, what are we doing? What are they gonna do with my girl Tatum? what are we doing at this point? Because like, is Tatum gonna get moved like to evolve? Is she gonna, like, are we gonna move her up? Are we giving her a title shot? Like, what is it that we're doing with her? Because I don't want Tatum to go. I think Tatum was a good build up too. Like, she definitely built herself up to where she's very well loved. Same thing with Gigi. Like, she came back and everyone was like, yes, this is working, this is perfect. So for them to just keep breaking up these good tag teams, like, it's rare that they actually throw two people together and it works.
Yeah,
And these two people were put together and it worked well. Like,
absolutely. The
I
chemistry was there, and you could see
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Ugh,
absolutely.
ugh,
I
ugh.
hope they do. The thing is, this is like it worked because the personalities. It was like the Powerpuff Girls because you had three distinct personalities. They shared that whole kind of edgy vibe,
Mhm.
but they approached it in different ways. Angel Marie made me a fan of Tatum first because I would always joke her marking out for her, but in reality, I thought her feud with Wendy Chu was fantastic. And
Yes.
when she would fight Rosemary and everything, she did that where she was dressed like Alice in Wonderland and she had that whole thing. I thought that was great. And
Hmm.
put when Gigi became part of her, and I love the storytelling too because Tatum was by herself, and I think it was Fallon Henley and them were picking on her. And what if you notice, she was holding a doll with orange hair. Who
Hmm.
shows up? Gigi Dolan. Later, she's
Hmm.
holding a doll with green hair. Who shows up?
Oh,
Shotzi. I thought that subtle storytelling was so and we're gonna miss that, and I think that's frustrating. I don't think they could do a Chemical X without Tatum. I don't see. I
mhm.
don't. The only other person I could consider would be Harley Cameron because
Yeah.
Harley and Shotzi have collaborated before they did that music video with Scarlett. But I want it to be. I Angel, forgive me for saying this. I want Tatum to be released so she could join Chemical X and go to AEW, TNA, wherever, and just be unmessed with and
Yeah.
allow them to evolve this trio into something the special thing that it was. But
I definitely think Gigi, TNA, Shotzi, AEW, just because Shotzi was kind of like on her last leg being sent to NXT
Mhm.
to work with them because she
Yep.
was already in WWE. They kind of had gotten like with her tank and all of that, like she had been doing good, but after she got injured and had to go, get the stem cells, then she got married. Like it was kind of like they were like trying to push her out since that point, but then she ended up landing in such a good little faction that they couldn't,
Yeah.
like there
And
was nothing they could
and the
do.
cool thing about a faction like that is she doesn't have to shoulder all the weight.
Mhm.
She has Tatum and Gigi to take the brunt of the action, and she could get the hot tag and come in and do, I don't say
Mhm.
minimal work, but she doesn't have to risk being re-injured as much when
Yeah.
she's got two other members there. Yeah, so I think we all kind of agree as oh girl, if Tatum gets released, don't be surprised to see me and Angel on the news for some crimes. Okay.
That would not be us. That would be Janita
Yeah.
and Angelica. I don't know who those
We don't know
people
who they are.
are, but
I hesitated I was gonna put them together, but I wanted to kind of talk about them individually. Caden Carter, and then of course Katana Chance, aka Lacey Lane, and Casey Zario, I think it is. Let's talk about Caden Carter real quick first. I'll start with Dora. And the breaking up of that team. Do you see them staying together? Do you see them kind of going their own way? Where would you like to see the former Caden Carter, now Lacey Lane, heading out? And what are your thoughts on her? And feel free to talk about
Katana.
Katana Chance as well.
I feel like I would like for them to stay together and go somewhere, but I'm thinking like with all these tag teams, like I don't want to see them in AEW because I think they're better than AEW, if I'm being honest.
AEW needs to decide if they're going to make women's tag team belts. If
Yeah,
AEW can
exactly.
if AEW comes out with women's tag team belts, I would be much more excited for tag teams going there.
Yes,
I would want
exactly.
Fire and Fury to go there, because then if they're going to take women's tag team seriously, then yes. But like you said, right now there's no plan for women's tag teams. They would be better at like a TNA. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like TNA, if not, I don't think either of them has ever done the indie circuit yet, so I feel like they would be good together. Like I could see them against like a Maya World and Jada Stone, or against the Moneybirds, or like
Yes,
there's a lot of tag
Moneybird.
teams. Yeah, like there's a lot of tag teams I think they would be really good against. And then yeah, I just don't, like I said earlier, like I don't understand all the releases of tag teams. Like it's a division that needs to get built up, and you got rid of the top talents.
Yeah.
Like, who are you gonna put in tag team? Like, unless you're trying to get rid of these belts, like, what are you doing, Hunter? Because we do not need Liv and Raquel to have these belts. They're doing nothing with them. Raquel gives nothing right now. Liv, she's been doing some of her best work finally, you know? And it was when she didn't hold a belt. And now she holds a belt and she's having to be held back again. Like every
Yeah.
time Liv has a belt, she doesn't do that great. Like stop giving belts to these veterans that have already proven that they're at that level. Like we know. Raquel's not at that level back again yet. You know, she was good, but she has yet to show me like any like top like that she should be
I,
where she's
I
at all.
think it would have been fine if Liv wasn't taking that hiatus, but I also think that yeah, it's kind of like, I think they created the mid card titles for the women to elevate them, but I don't understand their booking. Katana Chance, by the way, I like, she's one of those rare
Mm-hmm.
representation people where, small tiny girls like the
Yes.
size of Riho or size of Casey, they can say, well, wait a second, I don't have to be this Charlotte Flair, I don't have to be this,
Ooh, they would be fun in New Japan. I think they would be
yes,
good. They would be.
both of
I
them.
wouldn't mind seeing them there. They would be a great tag team actually, because they know
Mhm,
how to do high flyers. They would just have to like learn how to hit harder. Because you know how they hit. They're harder hitting at NJPW. You know, so
mhm.
they'll just have to learn like that. But it shouldn't take them long. They have great chemistry together. I really like them. Like I can't even imagine what Damian Priest feels like right now
Oh,
without Kate. You know what I
and
mean? Like
not Jenna says WWE hates Filipinos, and as a Filipino, you might see me on the news reporting. Well, how about this, Jenna? Let's just say this right now: Triple H, may all of your Loompa and Pancit be cold and spoiled. How about that?
oh,
How
I
about that?
also
You're
I saw
denied.
Lovely in the chat. I don't know if she's still in here, but we love you too. Because she said she got busy
Oh,
at work. Yeah. So
love you too, lovely.
yes, I don't know if
Awesome.
you're still in there, but yeah.
Awesome. We got to get Lovely on the show too when at some point as well. We
Oh,
got to
she's
bring
one
her
of
on.
my favorite people. Like honestly, she needs to get into like WWE or AEW. Like probably not AEW, but definitely WWE booking. Like I've seen her like she's like kind of like the same person as Trey. Like they'll see you do one match and then they're like you're great. You should
Mhm.
keep going. Like they're good at picking those and she's good. Like she's been like pushing for Karrion Cross like since she first saw him
Oh,
when he came back and he's
his
blown up.
promos.
Like no one was seeing the vision, but she was seeing the vision like
And
since the beginning.
have
So
you seen his promos lately? That kind of shoe promo where and Scarlett sold it great because she's looking at him like what? But
yes.
just I know we focus on women's wrestling and Angel, I got
Mhm.
to get your take on this. But Karrion Cross, he's been cutting these great promos and the
Mhm.
TikTok kind of thing. I think is great. Recently, the Righteous were let go from
Yes.
AEW Ring of Honor. The Righteous, if you don't know, that's Vincent and Dutch. Dutch is kind of like John Goodman from Oh Brother Where Art Thou a little bit, and then and Vincent's
Yes.
like a Charles Manson kind of, hey man. Well, at the latest today, Karrion Cross had a promo where it's black and white like his style, and he's sitting there, and all of a sudden you can hear the Righteous theme song, and Karrion starts snapping his fingers, and then goes TikTok, and then it shuts off. So
Oh.
Are we going to see? And the Righteous were going to join WWE at some point, and then it fell apart. I guess they didn't want the Righteous. But can you imagine the Righteous with Karrion Kross and Scarlett?
That would be perfect right now.
Gosh.
Against the Wyatt Six, whenever they decide to put
Yes.
them in, like whenever
Oh,
that happens. But
yeah,
yeah, I
right.
think that would be good. Yeah.
So, Angel, I apologize for the tangent. We never get on tangents on this show at all.
No.
But let it, Caden and Katana, your thoughts.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Honestly, like they were so cute as a tag team. I just want to say that the little entrance was so cute with like the little smoke machines and stuff. And
Yeah.
honestly, like it was so adorable, and it's so sad to see them go. But I hope that they do continue wrestling because I did like the wrestling. But I mean, if they don't, I mean that's okay too. But like honestly, like you were saying about Katana, how like people can like look up to her. Like I honestly look up to Katana too because I'm like, bro, she's like my height and she's doing all this. Back up. How do you do that? Because like it sucks being this short. Literally, you can tell how short I am. I never posted up my pictures, but like if you've ever seen the picture of me with Dora, I was like, oh my goodness.
I was wearing heels. You were just short because you were wearing. I was wearing heels.
I was also wearing heels. I was also in heels.
What is tall? Like just.
That's why I stopped wearing heels because it just made me too big.
They made me too tall.
Made me too tall.
That's funny.
I could never pull off heels, by the way. But yeah, I mean, and you think about it too. And by the way, little people are people too, right? We need to, support as well. I like the American Ninja stuff that she would do too, like in the Royal Rumble that Katana would do. I like Dora's idea, New Japan, or maybe even Stardom or something, or Marigold, perhaps. I don't know, but I think that would be a great home for him. Really quickly, Danny Palmer.
We'll throw this one to Angel. We'll just go to
Angel.
I have no idea. Okay. I have no idea who this is.
I actually had to look her up because I was not familiar with Danny Palmer. I had to look her up. She was on the list, and I was like, Danny Palmer, who's that? And I looked up, and I didn't find a whole lot. And then I talked to you guys, and I found a little bit more about Danny Palmer. Without getting political. Just we could keep this short and sweet and move on. Your thoughts on Danny Palmer? Is it a net loss or net gain by losing her?
I'm leaving politics out of this. I'm gonna come from a neutral standpoint and just say a lot. Like majority of people did not like Danny. Like there's a lot of people who do not have the same views as her, and so that caused a lot of people to not like her. Like I know there's someone in the chat that didn't like Danny, and there's a lot of people in like a predominant IGWC, or at least the accounts that I follow, that did not like Danny just because of the stuff that she got herself into. So let's just say
she's going to go to TNA and tag with Tessa, right? She's going to go to TNA and tag.
That would be the only person who would like to tag with Tessa, probably, yes.
Probably. Oh my gosh. Bye, Danny. I only liked you because you and my cat share a name.
Yikes.
That says a lot. That's about all I can say.
Danny, we wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Yeah.
I didn't know you, but I trust the people that are telling me some things. So, all right, good luck to you.
Good luck.
All right, we gotta talk Pink Pony Club.
My Shayna. My Shayna.
Angel, you want to start this one off, and then and we can actually add Sonya Deville to this too. But let's focus on Shayna Baszler first. I've got some thought. I think Shayna Baszler's WWE NXT run should be studied, because this is how you to me, this is the opposite of elevating somebody to the main roster. This is pulling somebody who was thriving in NXT and had a great persona and botching her completely in the main roster. Angel, your thoughts? Shayna Baszler, what do you think? What were they thinking? Why was Pink Pony Club a thing? And where do you see Shayna Baszler going from here?
Yeah, honestly, whenever I know whenever they threw Pink Pony Club together, it would always be like, why are we making a smoothie over here? Why are we making a smoothie? Because the name was so random, as was the trio. But you know, they kind of made it work. I'm not gonna lie, they kind of really made it completely get like pulled apart. And a lot of people will argue and be like, how is Zoe still employed? But I mean, I don't know. That's also like personal bias on their parts as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically, Pink Pony Club is like gone. That is so weird. R.I.P. Pink Pony Club.
One more time for old time's
One more
sake.
time. Run it back.
How can you take three badasses and give them the most stupidest, lamest name and then have them lose? Dora, I mean, have you seen a botched character? And this is nothing to the fact. If anything, this is Shayna trying to make it work. But I feel like the moment that she bit Becky Lynch in the back of the neck with like a vampire, that was like, oh no, what are they doing? They should have brought her as like the female Brock Lesnar. She should have gone to the main roster and people should have quaked in their boots. What happened with Shayna Baszler?
I don't understand. I guess for me, like, I feel like if they had kept Shayna, Zoe, Sonya separate, they could have had that like hard hitting like UFC type women matches.
Yes.
They could have moved up Lola Vice because that was a good. Her and Shayna went at it. That would have been like a really good thing, but I don't know why they fucked it up by putting all three of them together. Like putting them certain factions together like that, like just throwing them, it completely throws off your division because these women are like the fighter women of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I hate Ronda Rousey, but you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of like wrestling that you could have still had. That's why I say like they should have left them all alone and just kept doing it. You could have thrown Rhea in with a match with them. You could have thrown randomly Bianca in matches with them. But like they should have just left those girls alone. Ivy Nile would have been good against her.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a whole bunch of women, like at least 5 or 6, that wrestle a certain kind of style or have a certain kind of look that you could have kept them all just fighting each other and it would have been okay. And it wouldn't have been no weird, like I know it would probably look like you were keeping like all the LGBT community together working. But like it wouldn't have been like that because like we don't see them as that. You know what I mean? We just see them as women wrestlers, but they're the fighter wrestlers. They're the ones that like they would do cute little boxing. They did Lola Vice and her had that really good like no ring match.
That was
incredible.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like we could have kept going with stuff like that and opened another avenue where like what is the girl that they just let go? Lee Laurel from LFG. She could have come in and been good with that too. Like that kind of style. The girl that what is it? I don't want to say the one that's dating the Rock's daughter, but the girl also that's on LFG. She would have been good to add to a little kind of like fighting style like that. Like there's so many women they could have gone that avenue and even had that. But they didn't do it. They blew it.
I have to confess that both Shayna Baszler were in, we're going to talk about, square up, hair up in just a moment. But I actually am happy for Shayna Baszler because I hope this is an opportunity for her to reset. I want Shayna Baszler to be the female Jon Moxley. If you remember when AEW first started, with Dean Ambrose, right before he left WWE, they had him doing these stupid gimmicks where he He was wearing a gas mask, and he was doing all these stupid things. He was trying to make it work. Then he left WWE, became John Moxley, and became the most badass in AEW. I think Shayna Baszler could be that Moxley, almost at the level of a Stone Cold. You could market her, and I think I know we've talked about TNA a lot, but I think Shayna Baszler.
Yes,
Two
I think she'd
places
be
I
good.
want to see here. One, I want to see her in GCW taking on
Ooh.
Masha
Mhm.
Slamovich
Yes, for
or
sure. I
Nick
agree.
Gage, or I want to see her just go brutal in GCW. Joey Janela knock the rest of his teeth out. I think that'd be great. And I'm a Joey Janela fan, by the way, but I think it'd be great to see her. I think though there's an opportunity for AEW, and they should have done this with Thunder Rosa, and I hope they can still do this, perhaps with Thunder. But I think Shayna Baszler put a leather jacket on her and have her, because what AEW needs in their women's division is they need a badass baby face, but badass like a Moxley in their women's division. Because right now you got your Mercedes Moné. The closest you've got to a badass, I would say is Statlander, and she's a badass. But
Ooh, she would. Yeah, Shayna would be good against Statlander, and then I don't ever remember the girl's name that's with John Moxley right now. They would be
Marina
good head
Shafir.
to head. Yeah,
Marina
I think
Shafir
they
and
would be
Shayna
good head to
Baszler, they
head.
were part of the 4 horsewomen from UFC. I think it was
Yeah.
Jasmine Duke is the only one that's not wrestling, but it was Ronda Rousey, Jasmine Duke, Shayna Baszler, and Marina Shafir. But I don't want Shayna with Marina. I want them. I want
Yes,
her
that's what I
against.
want her against her.
Yep.
Yes, exactly what I was
In
thinking.
fact,
Yes.
the way to book it is Marina is walking around like she's this badass, but she's protected by the Death Riders. And then you hear whatever Ruckus comes up with for Shayna's new music. Shayna comes out and whoops that ass. And that would be such a great way to introduce her. And then you book Shayna as a badass. You book her in these matches, have her fight, have her fight Penelope Ford. Have her be a contender that beats the crap out of Megan
Bayne. Yes. Ooh, I see where you're going with this.
I think you could build her, have her have these other matches and build her up, and then I would put her over Megan Bayne. I would actually have that match, and everybody's cheering, and have her win, have her move on. Whether or not you put Hair Up Square Up as her manager, I don't know. I have a soft spot for Sonya Deville, but I don't know if her in-ring is in her future. But I do see her as a manager of some kind, or perhaps, I actually liked her as that GM role for a little bit, but I don't know. But I definitely, here's the thing. Sonya Deville behind the scenes, helping with AEW's women's division, I think that would be huge. I think that would be great. But of all of them, Shayna Baszler is money on the table, and I am shocked that nobody's trying to pick that up. Angel, did we hear your Pink Pony Club thoughts yet? I forgot.
Yeah, Pink Pony Club. It sucks.
Well, let's move forward. Let's talk about Blair Davenport, B. Priestley, and if I could actually start off with this one, because I first got to know Blair Davenport when AEW was first starting. They were pushing Britt Baker as this big baby face, and they were doing all these promos, and B. Priestley was supposed to be the heel, but she cut down Britt Baker with one line. When in an interview, she goes, I'm a wrestler. You're a fucking dentist. And like, it was the way she said it was so condescending. Like that's what actually people started chanting. She's a dentist. Clap, 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 clap. And B. Priestley, I thought, was fantastic. She and Jamie Hayter were buddies for a long time. They had a lot of Stardom matches with, they were a tandem in Stardom. And I would like to see B. Priestley in some form in AEW. I think she would fit in. She's always got a home, I think, in Japan. I think Bea Priestley should go down to Mexico for a little bit too. I think it'd be great to see her down south for a little while. But I've always liked her. I know, I guess, there's a little bit of nervousness about her being accident prone, whatever, but I think she's one that you can invest in. Let me ask you, Angel, your thoughts on Blair Davenport. What do you think of her, and where do you think she should go?
Yeah, I feel like the time that I did see Blair, I didn't really see too much of her, if that makes any sense. I know they used her a lot with NXT UK and stuff, but at the time I wasn't really watching NXT UK, or I was barely watching NXT, barely starting to really watch NXT. So then I didn't know too much about her going in, but I do really like her character, and I do think that it'd be cool if we could see her I feel like maybe she won't be signed to a major company, but she could do some really big stuff on the indies.
I like that. Dora, your thoughts? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I didn't watch. I agree with Angel. Like I was in that time where I was not watching the NXT like that, so I'm not too familiar with Blair. But hearing that you said she's with Jamie Hayter, or she worked with her,
Yeah,
I feel like with Britt being out, Jamie being in, it would be a good time for her to go back to AEW.
I think that would be great. And that's the thing too, is I think what you both said is true, because NXT really didn't get smoking hot until she had gotten injured and was out for over a year, I think. And when NXT started really taking off, and it's a shame because she never really, I don't think she ever had a chance to show what she was capable of like she did at Stardom. Go back and check out some of her tag teams with Jamie Hayter, because you can also start to see Jamie Hayter evolve. If you remember, Jamie Hayter did debut at AEW in 2019 against Britt Baker and had a completely different look. And when she came back in the form that we are familiar with now. And Blair Davenport, at the time, Bea Priestley, who I think at the time was dating Will Ospreay. I think she was dating Will Ospreay. I think. Anyways, whatever. Irrelevant. I think she deserves a chance to maybe go back to her roots at New Japan. And I could see her coming to AEW and getting a decent shot and showing everybody what she's made of. All right, switching gears. Let's talk about Mela is Money. And I was a fan more of the R-Truth and Carmella stuff. I thought was pretty funny. I liked the more Mela's Money, where she was much more the kind, the moonwalking, ball cap wearing Carmella, and not this I'm trying to be all elegant and badass. Dora, do you have any thoughts on Carmella?
Number one, I don't know why she did that interview the way she did, especially knowing she was pregnant again. Like, girl, you were trying to act like you were you could come back into WWE, and now you let us know you're 4 months pregnant. Like, come on. Like, you knew you weren't gonna be able to get re-signed because you were pregnant, which makes sense now. The rants make sense. She was just kind of in that mental space where she was really emotional. She probably may not have even known she was pregnant at the time too. And pregnancy hormones can make you crazy. So I feel like also at the same time, it was just an emotional time because she got released. Excuse me. Um Her husband boyfriend, right? He does commentary, so he was getting cut also. So there was a really not knowing what was gonna happen for either of them.
Yeah.
So like I said, if she goes anywhere, maybe go to AEW and try and help those women developmental. But I don't think she needs to be in the ring with her injury, with how her foot is. You're not gonna be able to be at the level that you were anymore. And because that's pretty much I don't want to say it's like a deformity, but that's something that if it doesn't heal right, and it didn't heal right, you're not going to be able to do the things you were doing. Absolutely. So no, go and teach other girls how to wrestle without having a chip on your shoulder like you have. Go do something else.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Angel, any thoughts on Carmella?
Yeah, it is unfortunate with the whole situation, but I feel like given the fact that she's been released now she's gonna have a lot of time to spend with her kids, because I think she already had a kid, right?
Yeah, she had just had a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's gonna be really good for her. Maybe we could see her back after a little while. That'd be pretty cool. But I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing that she got let go from her job, but she can spend more time with her kids, and I mean, family is like a really important thing. So.
Yep. And as not Jenna Winna says, she also has stepkids. So there you go. But we got it. We would be remiss if we talked about all these releases, but did not talk about Isla Dawn, and which she has to be done with her 90 days at the pretty close to it at this point. So we might be. I'd love to see where she shows up. Angel Marie, when Isla Dawn, the Unholy Union was deunionized, if it will. As much as I like Alba Fire with the Hervis, Secret Hervis, Isla Dawn, I'm scratching my head on this one too. Your thoughts on Isla? Where would you like to see her next? And why do you think she was let go?
I couldn't tell you why she was let go, because I mean, maybe because she really wasn't doing anything, but I mean,
was that
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really loved like the Unholy Union and stuff, and so just seeing them like getting broken up, I was like, well, okay, there goes another tag team. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this again. I should be used to this by now. Unfortunately, but honestly, I could, it'd be really cool is to see like Isla Dawn and maybe like Gigi Dolan. I feel like that'd be like their styles could be like really similar, and something could like be really big there, real big money.
Okay. She's a different personality than Tatum, but could she possibly fit a Chemical X? I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean her personality is different, but at the same time it's not. Like I could totally see them being like interchangeable, but like not in like a bad way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I see. Because like I feel like the Powerpuff Girls work because you have Blossom, Buttercup, but then you also have Bubbles. I felt like Tatum was the Bubbles in personality of Chemical X. I don't know, see Isla as a Bubbles, but she could possibly still fit in something new.
Yeah, what I just realized? Someone who would be really cool to see Isla Dawn with, I mean, if she gets thrown back into a tag team, someone that I think it would be really cool to see them either tagging or against each other, because they both have like similar like little like witchy gimmicks. Isla Dawn and Celine Hysteria.
Ooh.
La Bruja Luna. I mean, the two witches like
witch battle.
Witch battle.
Or besties.
What if they became besties though? And Calientita and Riley Thorne or Ridley Thorne would have to unite together to defeat them. Would have to put their differences aside.
I don't know if they can do that.
They'd have to put their differences aside and defeat the Bruja bitches.
I love that name. Wait, what if we got a trio? Because I just remembered about Gypsy, because Gypsy Mac is the Bruja baddie. Like, what if they just like all got together and they were just like the Bruja baddies, or like the Bruja bitches?
That's it. The Bruja baddies: Gypsy Mac, Isla Dawn,
Celine Hysteria.
The Bruja baddies. They could have this. They could do promos like the witches with the eye, the fates, the eye, the toil and trouble, that kind of whole thing. That's
the Twilight, the
right there.
Yes, I love that.
Booking by Angel. That needs to be a new segment on our show. Booking by Angel. I love it. Dora, wrap us up about Isla before we call it a night.
I would say I feel the same thing. Like, they were a good tag team, but I feel like I don't know why Hunter just can't book tag teams. Like, you were a part of such a good tag team, Hunter. How do you mess this up so bad?
Are
Like,
you
I just
ready?
don't. Yeah, like you literally were in a trio. You should be good at booking trios. Like, it's just so crazy to me. Like, she was one that I was like, okay, I guess. Like, same the way Angel said it. Like, I guess she wasn't doing anything in their eyes, but I feel like they just weren't using her
Yeah,
effectively. It's the
booking.
same thing. They could have had her if they had kept her, we could have had her against Liv. We could have had her against Alexa. We could have had her against Rhea. We could have had her against. I feel like she would have been like a hard enough hitter that we could have had her in that avenue with, with Shayna and Zoe and Sonia
Rhea.
and Lola if we moved them up. But they just aren't willing to like pull like the trigger on these like buff baddies, and I don't understand it.
I
Like,
I think
I
we need
don't.
Jen. I think we need Jenna to tell us how she really feels about Triple H. By the way, I think
Stop it.
Jenna needs to tell us. No, but I think you're absolutely right, and it is. I think a lot of it does come to the booking because you can book. To me, tag team wrestling is so much more exciting. I mean, I love the singles, but that whole hot tag, the whole tandem, the way they work together. You saw that with Chemical X. You saw that with Unholy Union. You saw that with the Meta Girls, how they
Mhm.
work together. And there's so much more creative opportunity when you have a tag team. The fact that there's such a dearth of women's tag team wrestling that where it should be thriving. It's hard to book, Fire and Fury on the indies because it's a lot of promotions they want to book just one
Mhm.
women's match. They don't want to book a tag match, and it's like, come on, you're leaving money on the table. I think it'd be tremendous to have that. And
Yeah.
AW, the ball is in your court. If you create Tony Khan create women's tag team titles. You've got Renegades, whether or not Charlotte comes back or not. You've got so many just ready to go women's tag teams that I think you're
Yes.
leaving money on the table. The ratings would be through the roof. Every time I watch a tag team with women's tag team, it's so much more exciting. That's what we need to do. And
We need
anyway,
women in the writing room because there's none apparently
yes,
in the writing room. There's not a single woman in there, is what I've heard.
which needs to change because a certain Gail Kim needs to take control of the AW women's division and run that thing. Not Will Washington, none of these other guys. It needs to be Gail Kim or somebody of that caliber, of that experience level. And what frustrates me, you can interview Lou Fisto on my mental health podcast. And one of the frustration things you hear is, Lou Fisto was in line to be like a mentor coach, for the women's division. And then, politics, she got shut down because I guess some ladies backstage were being a little toxic and chatty and kind of blackballed her. But Lou Fisto would have been great. Jazz. Imagine
Yeah,
Jazz.
Jazz needs to be brought in. I definitely agree, Jazz. There's like so many because there isn't women in either writing room, right? AEW or
Not
WWE.
that I know. They let go of the one girl. I keep wanting to call her Sarah Snook, but that's the Succession actress. Sarah Stock. Sarah
Yeah.
Stock. Sarah Stock was let go, which I thought was a sign that Gail Kim was coming in to replace her. That
Yeah.
hasn't happened. And Madison Rain, as much as she did in TNA, I don't see her doing much unless we don't see it, unless it's all behind the scenes. But I don't see her being involved. I think it's like Dustin's running the women's practices, and for a
Mhm.
while Kate was running the women's division. But
I
I
just
don't
feel
know.
like the old wrestlers' egos are still too big. Like they don't understand that not that they weren't that great, but like they've been already outdone from where they were when they were at their peak. Like Bubba Ray, he upsets me because I'm like, you're literally, sir, you were good for your time, but you have no reason to be as cocky as you are. Like, no reason
Dora,
else.
Dora, do you know who the hell I am?
Yeah, like sir, like no one's interested. Like you have, it's just crazy to me. Like and then the same thing with like I know you love Chris Jericho, but same thing with Chris
Yeah,
Jericho. Like you're not at these places anymore that you think you're
yeah,
at still. And even if you were still there, like there's wrestlers now that if you were there and they were there, they would overshadow you. They would beat you definitely because they would be more well liked.
mhm.
They're more athletic than you guys were at that time because there was a lot of drug use then. There's not that I'm aware of anyway. There's not a lot of drug use
There's
anymore like they had to be on. Like
yeah,
it's just a different kind
maybe
of world and
creatine.
yeah, and people are healthier now. Like
Mhm.
no, there's no way. I've
But
seen Bubba Ray try and get in the ring, and it's not that great anymore.
but
It's
when
not.
you've got a Kevin Knight or a Speedball Mike Bailey, like how can you?
Yes,
There's no contest. That's the match I want to watch. Sammy Guevara. They had a 4-way. Sammy Guevara on Collision. Sammy Guevara, Kevin Knight. It was Roosh and AR Fox. Now AR Fox is a veteran, but he's one
Mhm.
of those guys that
He's
like
still good. He's still
he's
real
like a
good.
20-year overnight success guy. Like he just needs to find the right gimmick. He needs to find his Tony Storm or his Ricochet.
Hmm.
He needs to find that thing that just clicks for him. But he was tremendous in that match. He does that
Yes.
scary front flip where it
Hmm.
looks like he's going to land on his neck. And Kevin Knight, he is giving all my faves run for the money. But anyways, Angel, I would pay good money to see Dora and Bully Ray have an argument because Bully Ray would be like, Dora, do you know who the hell I am? And Dora would be like, and
Cause for what? Like,
and
like Bubba, get out of my face. Like you definitely are one of my favorite tag team people, but he's just been so terrible over this past year or two about the way that he does it. And then I don't like him as a coach on LFG because he does that same shit. Like, do you know who I am? Like, okay, Bubba, so like, who are you? You're not the reason why we're getting any kind of good shit here. Like, it's
yeah,
because of these other coaches, because of Taker, because of Booker, because of Mickey. Like Bubba, they just threw you in here for some sympathy stuff. That's the only reason why you're in there at this point. Like, come on.
testify,
Yeah,
testify.
like, come on, no.
Angel, get the tables.
Oh
Yeah,
my
at least
gosh.
at least Devon, is it Devon that has his sons that are wrestling
Yeah.
now? Like,
Oh, and
you
they
don't
are
have no
bosses.
kids, Bubba. You don't got no like people you can be hanging out with, so you're not as annoying. Like, come on, like, get it
My
together.
kids
Have
are the
some
wrestlers I
kids.
train.
Yes, exactly. Even Mark Henry's got a son. You know what I mean? Like everyone went and had these kids and put everything into their kids. They put it into the future and he put it into nothing. Like he put it into David Gracia. Like come on. Like get over it. Like no. We don't need y'all yelling at us every week. Like come on. But yeah, that's just a
Great,
different rant. Yeah.
beautiful rant. Beautiful rant. Angel, finish us off. Your final thoughts, and then I've got just some really quick updates for us, and then we'll call it a night.
Um, you know, releases suck. Just do the right thing when you get released. Do what you need to do, and don't screw it up. I wish you the best in your future endeavors, but please don't screw it up. Just because you're leaving WWE doesn't mean that you can't
Hmm.
make something really huge out of yourself.
Absolutely, it's
Yes.
not the end of the world. And as Matt Cardona says, there's money on the table out there, and you can
Yep.
find it. Also, Trey, we love you. We want to do our best to try to uphold the your philosophy going forward. We love wrestling, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And also, hopefully, we can continue. We can bond with other and connect with other podcasts, and really just create a cool community that he would be proud of. And I'm hoping for that. Hopefully, we'll get that out of our guests this Thursday. We have two individuals, one known as Microplastics and one is known as That Guy Tommy.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh man.
Tommy,
Wow, that was
Tommy
weird.
who is a very huge Calientita fan. I think I'm going to have to wear my Calientita shirt, in support of Tommy because, you and Cali are like this.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. The following Tuesday, I think we're gonna continue this 9 o'clock thing. We're gonna have returning the Black Dahlia, the Chainsaw Queen herself, Black Dahlia is going to be with us again. She's going to update us on the documentary on CRPS, as well as what she's been up to in action. And she's had some great meet and greets and at WrestleCon and whatnot. And so her star is on the rise. We also have some great guests coming up. Some surprise wrestlers are heading our way for some interviews. It's going to be awesome. And of course, we're going to continue to give you the awesome news in women's wrestling. Hopefully it'll be a lot more positive news going forward. But on behalf of Dora, Angel Marie, and everybody out there, have a great night. Goodbye. Mwah, and good night.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
I know y'all are probably tired. Angel, you're probably about to fall